Silicon Valley Bank was a pillar for the venture capital and startup community. Then, on Friday, in less than 2 days, it collapsed.
The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. It lends money to some of the biggest names in the tech world and is the largest bank to fail since the 2008 financial crisis. Now, the collapse all happened in just 48 hours. It started late Wednesday when the bank surprised investors saying it needed to raise more than $2 billion in capital to offset losses from bond sales.
Silicon Valley Bank's collapse set off a panic not seen since the days of the financial meltdown of 2008, triggering urgent calls for calm and extraordinary action.
Silicon Valley Bank, a regional lender with $210 billion in assets, served the tech industry for 40 years. It collapsed in 2 days, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis. Here is a timeline of the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, the spread of concern across the financial system, and the effort to contain the economic fallout. March 8, Silicon Valley Bank announced a $1.8 billion loss on the sale of securities, including the Treasury and mortgage bonds, which had lost significant value over the previous year due to an aggressive series of interest rate hikes at the Federal Reserve. Alongside that announcement, the bank laid out plans to raise more than $2 billion in an effort to shore up its balance sheet. March 9, shares of Silicon Valley Bank fell 60% in response to investor concern about the bank's distressed financial position. Depositors in Silicon Valley Bank, a relatively small group made up primarily of venture capital firms and tech startups, began to withdraw their funds from the bank. March 10, the rapid withdrawal of funds gained momentum, putting Silicon Valley Bank on the verge of collapse since the bank could not generate enough cash to meet the needs of depositors. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which protects the stability of the financial system, took over Silicon Valley Bank in an effort to protect depositors. Many depositors in Silicon Valley Bank held accounts that far exceeded $250,000. In turn, those depositors risked losing a portion of or all of their money that exceeded that threshold. March 11, prominent investors and tech executives criticized a perceived lack of government action to rescue Silicon Valley Bank and its depositors beyond the guarantee of $250,000 for each account held. Bill Ackman, a billionaire investor, told his 660,000 Twitter followers, "The government has about 48 hours to fix a soon-to-be irreversible mistake." March 12, escalating the financial risk, New York-based Signature Bank shuttered at the order of state officials. The bank, which had recently welcomed cryptocurrency deposits, fell prey to fears of a bank run among those who held risky assets. In response to the outcry and fearing wider spread of the crisis, the FDIC, the Treasury Department and the Fed took a major step, telling depositors in Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank that the FDIC would protect all of their funds, including those that exceed the $250,000 limit. Later in the day, the Fed announced an emergency lending program to cover the deposits at issue and restore wider confidence in the financial system. March 13, in a morning address from the White House, President Biden sought to tamp down concern about the potential spread of the crisis across the financial system.
No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the Deposit Insurance Fund. Because of the actions that our regulators have already taken, every American should feel confident that their deposits will be there if and when they need them.
March 14, bank stocks bounced back in early trading, erasing much of the losses from a day prior. First Republic Bank climbed nearly 60% while Charles Schwab rose 9%.